Okay, welcome to the design of the home office. And if you were in the 9 o'clock, welcome back. And I'm excited to present the design of the home office. And folks that's just joining me, welcome and good morning. I am John, and we had just finished the kitchen webinar, and now we are going to, I'm really looking forward to this. We've spent the last 6 to 7 weeks talking about kitchens and things like that. And I'm doing a lot of home offices right now. Love it. So welcome. And what we're going to do today, okay, is we're going to basically spend the next hour talking about, we're going to discuss a consideration tips for people that are new. Okay, you can type in questions, okay, and I'll get to them and answer them as we go, or I'll wait till the end or things like that. But what we'll do is, well, you can type in and ask the question away, and then what we're going to spend the next hour doing is we're going to be just having fun, showing pictures and discussing consideration tips when designing the home office. We're going to talk about some of the common mistakes people make in the design process. We're going to talk about the desk. The desk sets the foundation for the home office, and there's three basic types of desks that we can put in. And then we're going to review some of the common items found, within the space. And then I have two projects that I'm working on right now. If anybody was in my designing of the kitchen, we're going to go onto my CAD, and I'm going to show you two projects I'm working on. People love that, and go through and review a couple of the projects, and then we'll answer questions. Sound good? Okay, so let's jump in. When I was doing my research and that for this, I came across this phase and it really stuck with me. So I put this right at the beginning. Somebody had said in the home office, starting the design process, release the need to be perfect. What a comment. Okay, love it. But what that says is, a home office, a kitchen, kitchen's so functional, and home office so functional and things like that. But the nice thing about a home office, it can be your space. I mean, we can really, it's not in the center of the house, and it's not always has to be, aesthetically this and that and this and that, and keep things clean and put away and blah, blah, blah. It's going to be much more personal. You can be able to shut it down. This could be your space. This could be a more individual, personal space. And that'll be one of the things in the design considerations, but I just love that term. Okay, so let's talk now about the 8 consideration points when you're doing a home office. And by the way, one of the nice things about a home office, and like when you see kitchens and bathrooms and things like that, and the same applies to home office. You don't need to have a huge kitchen to have an effective kitchen. You don't need to have a huge bathroom to have, okay, a perfect bathroom. The same thing with the home office. So you're going to see pictures of big home offices. You're going to see pictures of smaller home offices, and there's going to be something, you're going to see pictures of people that have taken closets and turned them into home offices and things. So it doesn't have to be a big thing, but you do want to make sure, and hopefully this webinar is going to get you started and motivated to doing, is you want to make sure that you're able to fully organize and utilize all the space. Okay. So the first one, as far as the design tip goes, okay, location is key. Now, one of the things that when we say location is key, one of the things that comes up is what we have to say is who's going to be using the home office, okay? So let's say it's going to be a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad. You're going to want that home office more into the living area of the space, because you're not going to want to. Let me tell you a mistake I made. Okay, and I'm sure I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I've also done a lot of good things in my life and made a lot of good choices. But when I lived back in Shaker, in a Center Hall Colonial, the attic wasn't finished, and raising the kids, okay, I did a home office upstairs. And one of the mistakes that I made was I did this home office as part of the family area and things like that. And then I'm up there and nobody's up there. I'm away from the family. They're all downstairs cooking and watching TV and things like that. And you felt so much like an outcast. So I made a mistake in putting that when I did that office, in putting it because, you know, it didn't want to be away. It wasn't a home. I wasn't a professional stay-at-home person that was doing that. So you have to think what it's going to be, okay, when you're doing your home office, okay? Same thing. I went yesterday. I'm working with somebody I'm working with a home office on. And the space where the home office is right now are, and they have a dining room and they have a home office, okay? And the dining room is going to be, that's going to be our next step to put the furniture in, the buffets and all that. But right now they said to me, John, what do we do with our Pelotons? Okay, and everybody has a Peloton today. But what do we do with our Pelotons? Can you put an outlet in the corner of the basement so I could have my Peloton? I said, absolutely. Now their basement's unfinished. And I said, do you really want to do that? You really want to go downstairs and go into an unfinished basement and do your Peloton? Or what about going and putting that Peloton into the dining room, the dining space right now that's not built out yet? You know, they're not using it as a dining room yet. Me personally, I'd want my doggone Peloton on the first floor looking out than being in a basement somewhere, an unfinished basement, you know, but that's me. Now, the same thing relates to the home office, exactly, okay? It's home gyms, home offices, the same thing. You wanna put it, okay, in a space that you're going to be comfortable. So that's the number one. That's the location being key. Now, the flip side of this, there's another flip side of this. Let's say one of the things that's going to be happening, okay, I'm going to be doing, I'm sure, a lot more home offices right now. But one of the things is, what about like my daughter, okay? We were talking to my daughter last night on FaceTime. And we said, you know, how's work? She's in HR for IBM. And she said, Dad, she said, I'm swamped. I said, oh, I can imagine. I said, and my wife said to her, when are you going back to work? And we got a really interesting answer, which surprised me. She said, IBM said, when they come up with a vaccine, they'll consider us going back to work at the office. So what do we think about a vaccine? A year down the road? Okay. So, and my daughter has set up a home office. Okay. And what she did was she took upstairs out of the way a bedroom that she can shut off and be as a professional for 8 hours, and she can be up there like she's at her office. So where are we? We have to define. Okay. Make sense? Okay. Okay, now the next one is allow enough space. So you can see here, here's an example, and we'll delve more into space when we go to my examples. But just here's a good slide. What we want to do, now remember we talked about, we'll get into details about the desk in a moment, but this is a freestanding desk. If you notice also, we talk about sizes, you know, when we talk about the desk, and then we'll get into that. This desk is 30 inches by 60. You want your desk to be anywhere from 48 to 72 wide. Anything under 48 is not as effective. Right now, if you want to envision where I am, I'm in my office. I use my conference table. I'm looking out. If anybody knows Chagrin Falls, I'm looking out on East Washington with Panini's right across the street. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 windows, and I'm looking out, okay? And that's the way this desk is. The desk is looking out. So we're gonna have our choice coming up and looking into the wall. And that's something you guys have to decide. But I have my desk right now, the conference table is about 60 inches. I have off to my left, I have my iPad, I have my mouse, I have my pad, I have all the space I need to be able to work. I could not personally work under 60 inches, okay, with my desk. So that's something you're gonna have to consider what you're going to be using it for. But I would not go under the 48. Okay, So you just want to see the circulation and look at that. The thing that's important is the circulation. You want to allow enough space. Let's say most people, when they put a desk in, and you'll see a lot of the pictures, they don't have that chair going up against the wall. They usually have that chair going up against maybe a credenza or some built-ins where I put the printer and things like that. So what's going to be behind you is going to dictate the amount of space that you're going to have, okay? We're going to talk about having it as a gathering place and things like that down the road. So you can see, do you want people to be able to come in and have meetings and things? You have to allow that circulation behind that. And then a big key is going to be storage, which we'll talk about. So very important traffic flow, not only in kitchens and things like that but that traffic flow in your home office. Okay. Selecting the proper desk system. Okay, we're going to get into that again, but there is against the wall. How many of you out there would be comfortable having it against the wall? No right or wrong. Okay, and maybe the space won't allow the option to go both. But if you have the flexibility, it's going to be out there for you. The other thing too, let's say you have a situation on your hands where the kids come home from school and they want to sit with you and do their homework at the same time. Do we allow for that? That's something to think about. Your back is always going to be turned to whoever else is in that room if you do that. You don't have it up against the wall. Okay, storage and shelving. Now, one of the things that you have to ask, there's 3 questions about storage and shelving. Number 1, what is coming in? So what do you bring into that space? Okay. One thing I did too to consider, the best move I've made business-wise, if you say, John, what's the best move you've made over the last year? One is setting up my design-only company. That is talk about being ahead of the curve, where I do design-only work. Number 2 in business is I bought an iPad Pro. Now, I just moved my office from Beechwood to Chagrin Falls, and I had all my clients in binders, and it took up so much space. I invested in an iPad Pro. Do you know I don't have a files cabinet anymore, and it's all clouded. All of my catalogs that are 2 to 3 to 4 inches thick from all my cabinet manufacturers are downloaded on my iPad Pro. All my job folders are downloaded onto my iPad Pro. So now all of a sudden, boy, talk about not needing half the space anymore. It's incredible. So personally, what I would suggest, if it ever allows, the budget or anything else allows, seriously consider that. The other thing is a person that when I do work, I'm on the jobs every day I'm usually every day. And let's say the contractor has a question like, John, where should I put the water line for the refrigerator? And I said, oh, Vince, I'll wait till I get back to the office and I'll send it to you. Now, all of a sudden, even on my little iPhone, because it's clouded, I can go and show him, okay, where exactly to put that. That has changed my life. How does that relating to you guys? Okay, you may not need, or maybe I'm behind the times and you say, John, move on. We all know that. But you're not gonna, now all of a sudden, are you gonna need as much filing systems and things like that? Okay, that's so important to know as you're setting up your office, like how many file systems, how many this, how many of that, as we get into designing it. Okay, this is what I started out talking about, the mistake I made when I did my home office when I converted the attic. But place to meet, where I anticipated that people didn't allow for the people to get up there and meet. Now, what does meet mean? Meet can mean a couple things. Meet could mean, well, do you want to have your place be able to, let's use my daughter as an example. Her husband also works out of the house. Do you want to be able to put the husband in that room, or is she going to shut? That'd be an interesting question to ask her. Does she shut her door and not allow him in, or do you want a place to meet with him, maybe at lunch, or discuss certain things, or the kids coming home, or do you want to do that? The other thing too is a home office. We're going to talk in a little bit. It doesn't have to be all about work. There's a lot of different things I can do in a home office. Like, what about arts and crafts? We'll talk about down the road. Or what about a place there for kids? So these are all the things that we want to consider, when we go for a place to meet. So are we going to have business meetings and bring people in? Are we going to have the kids? Are we going to have that? So what do we allow for when we do that? I'm going to show you a lot of pictures of home offices. I don't know why. This is my favorite. I don't know why. I think I'm a big outdoors person. My wife and myself, we like even today, first thing say today, get up, it's snowing out. It's what, 35 degrees. We're in the middle of May. Where are we going to go hike today? So, we love the outdoors. But if I'm going to be sitting in an office or something, like I said, even here with my 6 windows, I just love that space. I love the architecture of the window. I love the quaintness of it. It's a little nook, so you don't have to have a large space. That would suffice with me, again, with the iPad system and the technology today. And you even look at those being a big family guy, look at all the bookshelves. What are the bookshelves full of? Pictures of family and things like that. I don't know. I just love that slide. So, naturally what we want to do is to get natural view and to get light whenever we can. Okay, here's one that everybody's probably guilty of. Write this name down. This is going to be a godsend for you guys. I love this company, Mockett, Mockett. Now, for my folks, we have a full house today. We have more people right now, even with the home office, than I've had in my kitchen talks. But so you folks that were in the kitchen talks too, look it up for the kitchens, because they also have pop-up outlets and things like that you can do in certain situations in the kitchen. But the brand is Mockett. Now, what Mockett does is they specialize, and I'm sure you go on Amazon and things like that, you'll probably see a lot of companies. I'm a big believer in Mockett. It's really a great company. But we can now control our technology and the wires and things. I know a lot of it's wireless today, but we're still going to have a lot of cords. So we can now go and we can control that. And I'm going to show you when we talk about, some of the items that go into home offices. We're going to talk about the space where we have, the wires and things like that can be hidden from the desktop going down. Like I just finished a bathroom in Highland Heights. Okay, makeup area. Now, what do you do with she wants a makeup mirror and she doesn't want it, she wants a portable one. What do? Put an outlet at the desk where she's going to sit and she can plug that makeup mirror in? Not on my jobs. Okay, what we did was we put a grommet, and I'll show you what a grommet is in a moment. But what a grommet is basically putting a hole in your countertop and then it put the outlet where her legs go. But we need to finish that off nicely. So the same thing in the home offices to do that. The other thing too, if we're going to put that desk in the middle of the room, what do we do with outlets for that desk? How do we plug stuff in? There's tricks, okay, so that you can do, but you have to have that technology to be able to hide these wires and everything. So, okay. Here's my favorite one. Okay, as I'm sitting here, okay, and I'm giving you a visual picture. The first thing that I walk in the morning, the people that know me, they know I'm a big yoga guy and I love yoga and that. But what I did, my wife surprised me. God love her. She gave me a salt lamp. And so I have my salt lamp going. I have my plants. I have my lighting. I have fluorescent lights in this office that I lease. I don't turn them on. I have soft lighting. And I even went when I moved in and I got the candles, the electronic little flickering candles that you get from I got from Amazon that they have in the yoga studios. So right now, I'm sitting in an office all day with my salt lamp, my soft lighting, okay, my pictures, my plants, and my flickering candles. This is a welcoming place. So what is it, okay? What is it that you can bring to the table and make it like inspirational? Could be photography, it could be art, it could be anything. But why don't you have a little corner, why don't you have a little corner in there that allows you to bring your personal touch in a very welcoming spot for you? Okay, 5 common mistakes made. Interesting ones, okay? Thinking you can tune out the TV on the wall. Don't hang it anywhere near the work area, okay? Get caught up in the trap of being distracted. Now, what I do is I have a big TV in here. I don't even have TV hooked up. I'm not a TV guy, but I use it as a monitor. So right now I'm actually with this presentation looking on a monitor, and when I do all my meetings and everything virtually and all that, I always have the big screen on. And so I have a 40-inch monitor in here, but I use it as my computer and things like that. It's absolutely perfect. You're going to see in the home office in a moment that I'm working on how we did that. Inadequate storage components. That's the thing that that a big mistake people make. Lack of space for storing the materials. Here's one that's interesting. Slow and inefficient equipment. Some of the things you don't think about, but I ask my daughter, she'll be the first to tell you because she's been home, okay? And every night I go home and she's doing Ohio State online, and all I hear about is the slow internet connections, and things like that. So you want to make sure that you have the equipment and everything to really not slow you down or hinder you, okay? And then the last one, again, is the inefficient cord management. So that is something that, again, it just drives people crazy when you have all the cords and everything all the way around, okay? Okay, so now here are some of the different things that can go into the home office. And some of these we've talked about. Well, actually, I'm sorry. We're going to go talk about your desk options first. We skipped ahead. Okay, I want to spend some time. This is the most important one as a starting point. I want to spend some time on this, and we talked about it a little bit. But there's 3 design options for the desk area. Number 1, against the wall. Okay, so look at this slide. Really nice, okay? Now, even though this is, the other thing too is how many people are going to be working in the area? Okay, so that's important. So look at how nice this is. We have a space for both parties, okay? It could be a parent, it could be a child, could be husband, wife. This could have been a setup for my daughter and her husband. But the odds are they probably need their privacy in doing that. But the other thing that's interesting here, I mean, it really fits into a lot of what we said. You look here, there's your natural light. Okay, now one of the things to consider, like if you're going to look, here's the light here. Now remember that thing that I said was my favorite, that little window. The thing you have to be careful of too is the glare coming in, and if you're on that screen and the glare and things. So I mean, you're going to have to be able to filter the light in certain situations if you're going to be putting a monitor in front of an outdoor light and things like that. But you look here too. Another thing also that you have to consider, jumping a little ahead, these dark countertops, working on the dark countertops versus a lighter countertop with the light of the paper and things like that. You want to be careful with the color of the countertops that you're putting in. But the other thing too is, so 1 person or 2, but you notice that it's against the wall. It can be effective. Depends if you're going to work there for 8 hours during a day. I don't know if I would go that unless you're forced to as my #1 priority. Does not allow a great area for meeting. So there could be certain drawbacks to it, but there could be good things to it. I think the situation like this would be perfect for a home office where you're not spending a good part of your day in. This could be a great area for kids and homework and things like that too. Okay, the attached table. This is one that I love. This is probably one of my favorites, or my favorite. Now let's look at this. Now all of a sudden, you've got your attached table. This could be your home office. That table does not need to be as wide. Okay, and look at what I like. One thing I like to do on my designs, okay, is I like to put, I was actually at Ferguson last night with a client, and I don't think I offended the sales. I know I didn't offend the salesperson. I just gave her, I said, do you want a little design tip? She had nothing to do with the design of the display, but they had a design in there with an island. They had seating in the back and they had their columns like this, but they did not put this little apron. See that little apron there? Okay, that apron could have been even an inch bigger here. It finishes off and gives a beautiful finished look to it. The job I'm doing in Brecksville that you'll see, okay, I put a 3-inch apron underneath. Now, how could that apron be effective? Okay, two things. Number one, let's say I want to put an outlet there. I could have an outlet put, make that a little bit bigger, about an inch bigger. I could have put an outlet right here if I wanted it, or a switch or anything I wanted to do, okay? The other thing I could do is if that were an inch bigger, I could have a real thin pencil drawer that I could have put there. So these are all the things. We want to utilize the space, you know, we can do it however we want to do it. But the reason I like the fixed, it takes less room in the room. So it's almost like a peninsula and a kitchen versus an island. How many people, okay, let's say that now is a space where, by the way, look at the natural light. We have great storage, things like that. This could act as so many things. So there's our home office. There's my 4 to 5 feet I'm working during the day, laying out plans, things like that. Perfect for me, okay? Now, the kids come home from school and all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock and you need to finish up a couple things, and you can say to the kids, stay out until I'm done, or you can say, come on in. You know, you got 2 other spots that the kids could get in there and start with their homework or visit, or the husband comes upstairs and brings his wife a glass of wine and they could sit together and he could be on his iPad. So it could create multifunctional things. Or the other thing too is there's a lot of people out there into crafting. Now all of a sudden you could take the work aspect out of this and you create a craft table and a craft area, you know? So it could become a real multi-purpose type of situation. So attaching the desk saves a lot of space, can become multifunctional. I have a lot of flexibility. Freestanding. Absolutely nothing wrong with any of these. Here's freestanding. This is what I talked about to allow plenty of room between the areas. Now, one of the things that I love about this, okay, is this is where also, by the way, you really need to have cord management. Look at how it's done here. Really, really, really nice. I have a lamp, okay? I have my monitor. You see it's going, here's the cord. You really don't even, you'd be hard pressed to look at cords. But now all of a sudden you see the cord here, it's going down into a grommet. Now, where's that electricity coming from? If I'm a betting man, those cords are coming down right through here, see? And same thing with this. There's probably a hole in the top, the cord's coming down and then feeding down. So cord management. The other thing on this picture, on this slide, okay, so you have your space around, you have your 5-foot desk, it's finding all the criteria. Look at that view. Remember we talked about that motivation or that personal space? Look at that. Okay, really sharp. The other thing that people go crazy over, okay, are these art lights. I'm putting those in closets. I'm putting them in offices. You'll see it in my kitchen, my home office in Brecksville where I put these. I'll show you how I did it. Okay, so really nice. So, and then all of a sudden you have your storage here. Okay, the printer could be back here. Everything could be wireless today on that kind of stuff. So you see how clean and sophisticated this is. Okay, so you can do it even with the freestanding. Okay, here's some common items that we need to consider. There's the grommet I was talking about, and that's what we saw. If we go back, see, there's the grommet right there. Okay, and I'll show you close up now. Mach-It has a lot of beautiful ones. So just see, and they come in different finishes, different sizes, and they could be for USB. The other thing also, make sure, and I'm doing it in the kitchen right now, is do you want to have any of the outlets be USB? What do they call those things? Cubes or something that, you know, that you need. Now everything could be USB and it could plug right into the USB. Sometimes if I want to get out pre-pandemic for an hour or two, I'll go to a library and work. And Orange Library has a fireplace, everything. And the nice thing about that is you can plug in, these have these little pop-up outlets that I'll show you that you can plug in USB things into. Here's one you might not have thought about, okay? Do you want to build in a safe? Maybe a paperwork in your home office that needs to be fireproof, and or could be, you can keep, you know, personal items in there, things like that, but you want a space for the safe. I'm going to show you where I put a safe in Brecksville, you know, things you might not think about, you know. So do you want a personal safe in the space? A shredder, important today. So where do we put the shredder? Do we have an area that can slide out? Do we keep it inside a cabinet? You know, things like that. Look at this. Isn't that sharp? That pop-up, that's a Mach-It picture too, by the way. But look what we can do. Now, when I talked about the pop-up outlet for the kitchen, it wouldn't be this one. The code would not allow it. With the pop-up outlet in the kitchen, and you could do this pop-up outlet also in the office, but you hit a button. Remember, like people that were in the kitchen talk earlier, remember how we had that air switch? You touch a button and an outlet pops up and you could plug 3 or 4 or 5 items into it. But the nice thing about this one here is that all you do is touch it, it flips up, and then you plug your items in, and then when you're not using it, it goes down and it's flat. So you don't have it. So that is ideal, okay, into a situation where even going back into that office one that was attached, you could see how nice that is where we went and you know, could put that right on the countertop instead of in the apron. Window bench. You're going to see in my design, okay, almost identical to that. You're going to see in one of my designs right now where the I put a window seat. And just to give you a visual, what I did was, and I'll give the trick away right now. You'll see it better here in the picture, but you see how those 3 drawers are there? So what I did with the client, 2 of the 3 drawers are, guess what? File drawers. And what do you think the 3rd one is? You pull it out and there's your printer. So you would never have known. Okay, you walk in, it's clean, it's really, really intimately set, and yet it's so functional office. Okay. The printer storage is huge. Now, again, being Bluetooth, we could put a printer in a closet, or we could put a printer downstairs, or we could put a printer anywhere. But having a printer strategically placed, like me personally, if I'm doing really work in that area, I want my printer to be close by. I don't want to be wanting to run to another room or something like that. And again, you can network it, you can set it up Bluetooth, where you can go and just, you can print from anywhere in the world into the printer today, but you can go and have that printer set. What you want to be able to do though is you don't want to have to be bending over and getting into it. And I'll show you the example in Brecksville where it actually, you don't know you have a printer, but it pulls out and I'm not really bending over to get paper into it and things like that. Okay, here's one that I do artwork too. I want to get back into my artwork in that, but um, I, for the house, one of my, on my bucket list and dream, I would love to have that drawing table. Um, from a standpoint of, is anybody out there into the graphic design where you need a lit board, or anybody still do hand drawings, or artists, or thing, you know, for ideas or fashion design, or anything? And how cool would that be as a focal point, is to have a drafting board like that in an office? Um, you would put it in more for functional reasons, but not for strictly for aesthetics. But what a functional piece that would be to do that. Open shelves. Now, one of the things when you go shopping on cabinetry, okay, um, and this depends on the direction you go. We talked about, and we're not going to talk about as much in the home office. And if anybody has any questions on it, that they can come and call me and I can discuss it more personally with them. But the people that were in the kitchen seminar, they learned about what framed cabinetry and frameless cabinetry is. Here's a big trick. Let's say we go frame, most people go frameless cabinetry today. Let me go back to my picture here. I can show you. Okay, see here, this right here is framed cabinetry. You have a frame around the door. Okay, that's not popular today. More people today are going frameless, where you go, see if I can find one here anywhere. Here, see, there's no frame. See how the drawers and doors are all touching each other? Okay, that's frameless. But here's the key. When you go with open shelves, you want to make sure you get framed cabinetry, because you're going to get a nice 1.25" front frame. Okay, and you notice, like, see here, you have that nice frame, but also notice the difference. See these shelves? These are not just 3/4 inch typical shelves. When you go with furniture, a lot of times they're going to go with thicker shelves. So it depends on the manufacturer, but these are the little things that you'll notice. Like, you'll say, you know, what are the things, John, that makes these things look different to me? Okay, see these shelves here? Look how thick they are. See that? They're thicker. Now, they're not done as much. They could be for two reasons, okay? Most manufacturers are not going to sell a cabinet wide enough where the shelves are going to fall and break with all the weight. They'll restrict the width of the cabinet, but they're as much for aesthetics as they are for the function. The other thing, okay, as we go and look on this slide that we're back here, look here at this one. This is a beautiful area too. Look at this. Do you notice, by the way, I know I'm rambling on, but see how everybody's adding their personal touches in? But look at this. See the floating shelf? Floating shelves in kitchens and offices are hugely popular. Really nice. And you'll see it in Brecksville. You know, did it in Brecksville. So that right there, okay, is a floating shelf. So it's much thicker, it's floating, it's actually cantilevered out of the back wall. You put in brackets to do that. And the nice thing too, we're not breaking the bank on any of this stuff. File drawers. Even though you have file drawers, I mean, with the iPads and things like that, you're still going to, for bills, and you still may say, you know, Jen, I'm not going to go that direction. I need to have paper trails and this and that, to have the file drawers in there. Now, the other thing that I did not put on this, okay, that I would personally do, like if I'm going to have important paperwork in a home and things like that, is you can put locks on these systems. Do you want to lock up your drawers? So is that important to you? But you can go ahead and lock these drawers. Glass doors. Do you want to bring any, remember that artistic touch? Do you want to bring any of that in there? Or are you saying, you know what, I don't want to waste the space because I'm in a more confined area for that. You know, I'll save that for another room in the house. Boy, I'm giving, I think, a lot. I'm seeing in these pictures, I'm giving hundreds of design tips. Okay, here's an interesting one. When you go and look at cabinetry, okay, there's two different ways that cabinets are going to come. And remember this when I show you the Brecksville project. Do you see this right here? That is the only thing I don't like about this, and I'll show you the difference. Do you see how that is a recessed toe kick? I'm splitting hairs here, folks, but this is why you're taking this webinar, so you understand the stuff. Do you see this is recessed? What's the purpose of a recessed toe kick? The purpose of a recessed toe kick is to go and spend time in front of it, okay? And prepare a meal, brush my teeth, things like that. That's why you have recessed toe kicks. Are you ever going to stand in front and work and spend time in front of that bookshelf or that window seat? No. So what do you do? Let me see if I can see other pictures here. Okay, so now what do? You go and put a flush toe on it. See there? There's my flush toe. Look at, see how that looks much more finished? The other thing you're going to find when you go higher up the cabinetry ladder, they are not going to use 4-inch toe kicks. They're going to use maybe 2 or 3-inch toe kicks, much smaller. Like that toe kick there is a 3-inch toe kick. That's not a 4-inch toe kick. So what does that do? Number one, it looks more officey, if that's such a word. But number two, it's going to get me more space here for my storage. The other thing too, just so you know, 28.5 inches is the height plus the countertop that you want the desk to work at. The other choice on countertops, where a lot of people do, instead of using quartz or granite or whatever, why not put a wood top there? You know, depending on what you're going to use it for. And actually wood is a lot cheaper in certain situations with certain people than quartz or granite or things like that. So you could do a wood top. Okay, I know I'm diverting a little bit. Okay, there's my craft center. Do a lot of crafts in the area, and a lot of people do that. They'll combine either a laundry room to a craft center or a home office or something. But how many people out there would love to, or that do crafts? You know, crafts, are they still popular today? I know they are with kids, you know, and there's a term that we've talked about in the kitchen, okay? And it goes, and I said it this morning, and I'm going to say it again. It doesn't apply just to the kitchen. You know, I talked about Anthony Bourdain being my favorite, one of my favorite people out there, and his book Kitchen Confidential. He uses a term constantly, or he did, called mise en place. Everything has a place. When you're into a kitchen in New York City at a restaurant, those things are shoebox size, a lot of them. And so everything has to be organized. Everything has to have a spot because you can't, number one, you can't walk around trying to find it. And number two, you don't have the space. It has to be at your arm's length. Why not apply mise en place to your home office? Why not apply mise en place to your craft area? Look how everything's organized. Everything has a place. Everything's right there. You're not wasting time trying to find things. So that's there for you. Now, the other thing too is, let's say we have to have a, you go back to that freestanding desk that I showed you, had the grommets and everything. You notice there was not a keyboard thrown on the top. So if you're not using a laptop, and why not put, remember I told you that apron? That apron would have been ideal for this keyboard drawer. That could be, so why put that on top and waste that space, okay, and have it not as clean and neat? And why not just pull that out, okay? Why not just pull that tray out? See how that little apron in the front flips down? That's my apron, flips down, pull out my keyboard drawer. So you do now have all that as possibility. Okay, so we're going to now go to, I'm going to get out of this and we're going to go and look at a couple of examples. One of the things while I'm going there, I had mentioned I have a design-only company. So if you guys don't know me out there, let me give you a couple websites that you can go and learn a little bit. Actually, they're on the bottom. I'll keep this up a moment. KitchenEdesigns.com with the plural S, KitchenEdesigns.com or thehalldesignGroup.com. Now, what I did a year ago my goal is to do design over the next 5 years, to do design only work. And I'm doing a lot of it right now, having a ball with it, where I'm doing just design. So if anybody ever needs, and you get on these things and learn more about me, or you can go on Houzz or any of that stuff. But the nice thing about it is, if you're looking for any help with the home office or anything like that, I do design only. I'll also do help you with the whole thing. So just let you know that. Okay, let's get out of my close out all this. So I am going to take you guys to my command center. This is how I spend my day, and I drive my wife crazy because I'm always up at 4:35 chomping at the bit to get to work because I love what I do. Okay, so here's what we have. This is my Brecksville project. What a nice couple. Give you a picture. They're both, well, the one works out of the house. The husband works out of the house. The wife, she's at home right now. They have a 1-year-old, great family. And so here's just to lay the house is probably, oh geez, I don't think it's more than 5 to 10 years old. And this was like a little home study right off the front of the house. Here's the Peloton right here, right now. Okay, so we have to move the Peloton, but they decided to go with, and it's 9-foot ceilings. They decided he's going to work there. Okay, that's going to be his home office. And what they decided to do was to have the table, the built-in table. Okay. Now, where's his view? Looking right out, beautiful view out the window. Okay. So now we're going to take this wall and we are going to strategically give him everything he needs. So this is what's referred to as a floor plan. This is what's referred to as an elevation. Okay. So here's what we have. Remember I talked about the TV monitor? See that? So what this is going to do, this is all paneled. To give you an idea, this is all gorgeous. They selected a gorgeous whitewashed, like a rift oak type of feel, like a beautiful weathered type of feel. And so this is all going to be like a rift oak with whitewashed with a gray brownish cast to it. So this is all paneled. There's my floating shelves. There's the monitor. So when he's working here, he does not have to turn the 90 degrees. This is going to actually extend out and turn for him. There's his 2 file drawers. There is a drawer. Remember, he's sitting right there. There's a drawer with storage underneath. There's storage coming down to the counter. There's his open shelves. And we mirrored it on the other side, except one thing we didn't mirror, this cabinet right here. Now, one of the things they had to decide on, now the other thing that's nice is these cabinets are the same size, so even when we start, they can change their mind if they wanted to. But this is the printer cabinet. Show you what I sent to the factory. Okay. This is the difference with working with cabinetry where I have the flexibility, because I send this to the factory. I measured the printer, and not only did I measure their printer, I oversized it a little bit in case you get a printer down the road. But you see now how that just pulls out. I attach the drawer head. Okay, so the printer's tucked away. He can even print something, keep it in there, don't even open the drawer and gather it later. Okay, and then all of a sudden also you go here, and there's a drawer for the paper and everything underneath. These are wood tops. We did all wood tops for him. The wood top for the desk area, I made thicker. I made it like 2.5 inches thick. Okay, now what else do we have here? What do you think is, when you open that door up, what do you think is behind this paneling there? There's his home safe. Okay. Frameless cabinetry. You notice it's all, there's no frame, just the doors, the frame of the doors only, all frame. But look what I did to the bookcases. I did framed, and I did a top balance. Now you're going to have your choice on the style when you go after the style. Do you want to do more traditional? Do you want to do more transitional? What do you want to do? If this was a traditional one, we might have had the opportunity where we would have curved the top or something, but being more transitional, we just squared off. We squared that off. Okay, so that's one example. This is Brecksville. Do we have any people? So we have that, okay? Let me see here. There's going to be some questions I'm going to answer at the end. Somebody's asking some questions. Okay, so that's that one. Okay, now, do we have any people in Brecksville, any West Siders out there? And now, I love that area. Now we're coming to Hinckley. Okay, now with the one in Hinckley, okay, a little different. This is not a stay-at-home situation. This is not a home. The husband would work there on the weekends. They want a place where the wife can go in at, when the husband's working, or the kids, and have more of a situation. This is also a situation where they want me to panel the walls. Okay, so just to give you a feel, where this would be all painted white, and we would have and do a nice crown detail on the top. So now all of a sudden, again, beautiful view, okay, looking out back, freestanding table, and then there's the storage like was common, okay, what we talked about. And there's the 2 file drawers and the printer, the pull-out, okay? So that would be more of a freestanding. Now this is on the first floor, so I'm able to run my outlets and everything from the basement up, okay? Okay, so here's the question. Let me answer a couple questions, and then we'll wrap things up. Would you mix and match the toe kicks? Some have the recessed and others don't, especially in a large office, or does this look odd? Great question. Yeah, I could mix and match, definitely. We'd have to do it strategic. That's a very good question. We'd have to do it strategically. I don't know in an office if I would ever do a recessed toe kick, though. I would definitely do, like here, if you look at this picture, okay, even though this is a 4-inch, size-wise, it's the 4-inch. I did a furniture toe. So it looks like baseboard, so it looks formal, as opposed, see how nice that looks, as opposed to that. So great question. Yes, you can do that. Do we have any other questions out there? Otherwise, we're going to wrap this up. Hopefully you enjoyed it with the home office. And if anybody is new and they wanted to go back and listen in on some of the kitchen ones, and that, just contact me, and I can get you set up for that. Okay, so next week we go into, I don't know if any of you home office folks are going to join me. We turn our direction to bathrooms. We have a double header next week. We're going to do Kitchen Trends 2020, and then we're going to go into bathrooms after that. So you guys enjoy the rest of the weekend. Get out there and get your snow shovels and get shoveling. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thanks. Bye-bye.